Is Felger and Maz your favorite afternoon show?
Yes, 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 yes.
Felger and Maz.
Mike, what's your communication like with Kayshon Boutte, and what are your expectations for him heading into this offseason?
Well, really the offseason, I think, is over. We're on to really just the preseason. You know what I mean? That's what we have to look at it as. Again, I have a great amount of respect for Kayshon. And watching him mature and grow through the entire time that we spent together, that's a credit to Kayshon. That's a credit to Todd Downing. And just the communication is, hey, you know, how you doing? One, you working hard? He's yeah, I like where I'm working out at. Okay. You know, we'll be here ready to coach you, you know, when you're here. So that's been very positive. And, you know, I would imagine that he would pick up where he left off and grow on the season that he had last year.
Kayshon Boutte, who was one of a handful of players not present, along with Christian Gonzalez. That is the standout. Carlton Davis, Mac Hollins, Kyle Dixon, and Ed Rushers, Howard Landry, and rookie Gabe Jackas. Is that how you say his list? Jackas?
Or Jackass.
We should have asked Barth about him. Why was he not there today?
Good question, Murray.
Did you say, because we were talking about this during a commercial break, Hurley, is he not signed yet?
I don't believe so. Oh, no, he did sign.
Huh. What the hell's that about?
No, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question why he isn't there. You know, I don't know. I have no idea, but that's a good question.
Let me ask you this, Michael, because you've covered the team for years. So, Kayshon Boutte, this feels like...
Sorry, he has not signed his rookie contract.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that answers that, why he wasn't there. Kayshon Boutte, look, this feels like this is over. He hasn't shown up. It feels like there's been lack of communication with the team. If A.J. Brown's here, there's a redundancy. I get it. But is this a little risky in that? Since Drake May's come into the league, he's the one guy, I don't think you can argue it, he has a real rapport with. Kayshon Boutte's always been kind of his guy, and he showed out in the postseason, too. Should they be so quick to move on from Kayshon Boutte?
I don't think so. And I was thinking this, too. It's a different look than you might expect from a Josh McDaniels offense, but what if your three receivers on the field are A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs, and Kayshon Boutte? That's a pretty good receiving set. Like, it's not your little quick, speedy slot receiver running a 3-yard return route or whatever, but I don't know. Boutte got open last year, which is something we haven't seen a Patriots receiver do in a million years.
But also made grabs in tight coverage, too.
He could get downfield. He could make some ridiculous catches. And I agree. I don't think you just want to flush that out because you have A.J. Brown, who has a similar skill set to some degree. But you've got, I mean, what if you're defending the Patriots, right? A.J. Brown, that's where I'm focused. That's where I've got two guys. That's where my safety's locked in. Theoretically, Kayshon Boutte could be unleashed a little bit more. Like, I think he's more of a downfield threat than Romeo Doubs. I think Doubs is going to run a million slants and help you out that way. But I think if you have that, that's a good thing. So I agree. I don't think it's... I was okay with the idea of maybe if you had to trade Boutte to get Brown and not give up a first-round pick, I'd be better with that. But if that's not the case, I don't want to just kick him to the curb just because A.J. Brown's coming.
And because of that rapport, too, and I get it, we all understand the NFL is a cold business, as pro sports is, but have they checked with the quarterback about this? You know, because it just feels like that's been his guy. Like, especially if he's going deep. He trusts Kayshon Boutte. There's always been a rapport there. Drake May happy about that if they're going to be moving on from him?
Well, don't you have to pick at some point? I mean, I'm not trying to be cold about it, but see you later. Like, you know, I don't dislike the player. I thought Boutte was going to have a good year last year. He did, and he turned into a much better player, I think, than they could have forecast when they first acquired him. He was a 6th rounder, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was at the end of the draft, and I know he slid in the draft. But I like the player. They're upgrading. So it doesn't bother me. Like, you want to, you know, you're telling me, would you rather have Boutte and player X, or would you rather have Doubs and A.J. Brown?
Kevin in Rhode Island, you're first up this afternoon on Felger Mass. Where are you on this with A.J. Brown potentially coming here?
I was singing your song, Murray. I think it's crazy to get rid of Boutte. It seemed like they had a great rapport after one season. I couldn't even imagine what the second season would look like. And everybody loves this A.J. Brown so much. Did anybody watch the last playoff game? The last game he played with the Eagles?
He was brutal.
I mean, Hurts overthrew him by like inches 3 times in a row. Catches that Boutte would have made. He would have dove or reached out a hand and gave some effort. He probably would have caught all 3 of them. And when Brown was leaving the field, the coach met him halfway out in the field and was in his face like, gee, my God, could you show a little effort? This guy scares me.
I understand it. And look, I think A.J. Brown hated Nick Sirianni, the head coach. I think he hates Jalen Hurts, the quarterback. My hope is here, because you have questions about his knees and some injury stuff, but my hope with A.J. Brown, guys, is that this is Randy Moss at the end of his tenure with the Raiders. Because even when the Patriots got him, and I ended up loving Moss when he was here, unlike the man who's normally sitting here, but when Moss was with the Raiders at the end, I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like when the Patriots first got him, I'm like, he looks like he sucked when he was with the Raiders those last couple of years, but it turned out he was just basically playing possum, and he hated where he was, and he was half checked out. And he came here, and he had that ridiculous season. My hope is that it'll be someone like that with A.J. Brown, that he's been half checked out the last 2 seasons.
He was hurt that camp, too, Moss was, remember?
That's right,
He didn't play any preseason, and you're kind of like, I don't know how this is going to work. And then they go and play the Jets, and he has 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. One thing on Boutte that stuck out to me, because I've talked about him a lot since the season ended, and you're kind of thinking, yeah, he had a really good year, right? The first 8 games of the season, he had 431 yards and 5 touchdowns. In the last 6 games, 120 yards and 1 touchdown. So he very distinctly, I think he had a concussion in the middle, missed a little time. That second half of the year, I guess that's the concern. Like, oh, he had a great year. He had all these deep touchdowns. And then he didn't. So how consistent is he? Is he actually at that level? Like, he finished the year with, I think, 551 yards, which is really not that. So
he had 33 catches.
Yeah.
I mean, his numbers were actually better under Mayo than they were under Vrabel. He had more touchdowns. He had 6 touchdowns last year. He had 3 under Mayo. And I'm not telling you, I thought he improved. Like, despite the numbers, I thought he improved, and he was pretty good. And I like the player. They're upgrading there. They're upgrading.
Anthony in Jacksonville on Mike Vrabel today. Hey, Anthony.
Hey, what's up, boys? I just have 2 little points on Vrabel. It's like, he's like a wisecracking kind of guy. Is this whole Rossini situation going to, like, take a little edge off his game? And second, like, do you think Vrabel and Rossini are still on, like, not on, like, relationship terms, but, like, do you think they still, like, converse about this whole thing? Like, I'm really curious about that.
I'd love to know that second thing. Have they been in touch via text or email, or just to say, listen, I need you to shut up about this? Like, I'd love to know. Have they been in touch? My guess is they probably haven't, with the way that this whole thing is played out. But
I think the opposite.
Do you really?
Yeah. I think it's through an intermediary. My guess is they're covering their tracks. I don't know if one of them has a burner phone, if they both have burner phones, or whether they'd even risk doing that.
How's that work with his home life and his wife?
Okay, well, it can't. So I don't know whether they would risk that. You'd have to hide the phone. But when I say communication, Murray,
I'm just thinking, like, what a life that is. I have, like, my normal good boy phone and my bad boy phone. I got to hide that. Like, what kind of hell stress would you put yourself through? You've been all through, and it's all, look, you did it to yourself, everything you've been through. But now you're going to be sneaking around with, like, a sneak phone that you're trying to still keep from your wife while you're still trying to keep your marriage intact? Come on.
Could be through attorneys. Like, could be any. So I agree. The phone's risky. Like, not that I have one, but like, I got to believe that that's risky. You got to hide it somewhere. So my guess is that's a no. But put it this way. Don't you think there has to be communication between the sides on some level? Are you going to say anything else? Are you not going to say anything else? What are you going to do? Like,
unless she feels burned, because I think they were in love with each other. And so if she feels burned by it, I mean, she was making him playlists on Spotify. So if she feels burned, the way he's kind of handled this, and it does, I feel like the way he's handled it makes this look like, even though it's gone on for 6+ years, God knows how long, that she was just like a side piece and like a throwaway, even though that wasn't the case. If I'm her, I feel burned by that, and I would think that there probably hasn't been any communication. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud here.
No, listen, they're all good questions. I'm not telling you they're not good questions. I'm just telling you that I just
don't know how that would work.
Well, when you get caught, it's fish or cut bait.
Yeah.
You can only have one.
Right.
You can't have both, presuming, unless, they're into polygamy or something, which I don't think either one of them is.
Should have asked that today.
Okay.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
But this is one thing, like, at the end of the day, I don't think Vrabel owes anybody in the public any of the details about his relationship with her. What I think he owes them is his attention and his focus and an explanation for why he caused this scandal, or an apology for why he caused this scandal and, took away from some of the attention at he wasn't there for the final day of the draft. So he's got to give somebody an answer for that, and you got to be honest with your employers if no one else. And I would think in his case, he's got to be honest with his players.
And that first thing the caller said, he feels like maybe Vrabel's going to lose his edge from this Diana Rossini thing. It didn't feel that way to me today. He seemed the same kind of ball-busty guy, at least going back and forth with Mike Giardi.
Yeah, to me, that was the only time it really showed up is him busting chops like that. Everything else sounded like him just answering questions. And I will say that, it might have been the volume on his ball busting might have been a little less, just a tick less. But again, it was his first day back, at OTAs. So I thought the ball busting to me with Giardi, if you're a big believer in Vrabel, is a good sign. Like, I think he's trying to get back to who he is.
And who he is was such
as a football coach.
Was such a big part of their success last year. So,
definitely.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good sign for that today. Pat and Franklin, you're next here on Felger and Maz. Hey, Pat.
He's such a fraud. Tony, come on, man. He had a 6-year relationship with this woman. I don't care about this press conference. It was an embarrassment to humankind. You and I know, Tony, Kim, if you messed up, you're in trouble, bud. This guy's in trouble. He's in trouble.
I don't know. I think.
But with who?
I let him go.
The team?
I don't think. Clearly not the team at this point.
So I don't. Again, I felt from the beginning that he wasn't going to get fired over this. I didn't feel that at all.
No, I will say.
You start firing people for having affairs, there's not going to be anybody working.
That first week or so, I didn't know it was going to be a firing. I thought it was going to be a forced exile. Like, he was going to step down for the season. There was a stretch there. I want to be consistent because I know I felt this way. That first week or so, I thought that day he was going to take to the podium, that we found out he was going to miss that third day of the draft, that he was going to say, I'm going to go away for a while, and he wasn't going to be around this season. And now that we got through that, now I don't think anything. I think we've got through it. He's got through it. I don't think anything's going to happen.
Barring a new development.
Something major. She would have to say something real nuts.
So, but Murray, this is also why I think there has to have been some correspondence or communication between, let's just call it his camp and her camp. Has he spoken with her directly? I don't know. Probably not. Has he texted her, burner phone? I doubt it.
Dye that kid's hair blonde.
But has there been some communication between his representatives, her representatives, his attorneys, her attorneys? Have they thought about an NDA? Has that been broached? Are they going to, with something like that on the table? Does one side want to know whether the other one's going to talk? If you are going to talk, can we make you not talk by offering you more? Like, something like that has to have taken place. Don't you think?
Yeah,
no, I'm not saying that a deal was made. I'm just saying the conversation had to take place.
If you're saying through an intermediary or lawyers, I'd be willing to believe that. I just don't see if these two. I can't see how these two have talked to each other, or even texted or emailed. With him trying to keep a relationship with his wife and family, like, I have to go to the bathroom again. Mike, didn't you just go? I drank too much water. Runs to the bathroom. Bad boy phone. Hey, shut up about all this. No more speaking. Send. Like, you can't. You can't
6
run
years,
around.
Though. This isn't like a fling.
No,
someone in his life.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how you navigate. It's got to be so stressful if you're dealing with something like that.
Hey, it's how Tiger Woods got bagged.
Right.
It was the whole cell phone thing, right? His wife found the phone or heard the message. Remember that?
Right.
Remember he called her and left her a voicemail like,
Was it Rachel Yucatel, I think?
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
In fact, we got to find that voicemail.
If Elon calls to pretend you were just a nanny or a friend. All right, well, listen, as part of a mandate here that Felger made a couple of weeks back, we will promise to dump on your Boston Red Sox each and every day until this hell season is over. We will do that next. Along with, you want to continue to weigh in on Mike Vrabel, this whole situation, the Patriots OTAs Day 1, have at it, 617-779-0985. But we'll dump on the Sox next.
Whee! Goalie fight. Whee! Look at the goalie fight.
Oh my God.
Murray.
He sucks in the playoffs. That's great. No.
98.5.
Wonderful. Good.
The Sports Hub.
So 1-2 on Williard. Durant at second. Rafaela at first. So excellent speed out there on an extra base hit. Ground ball, bobbled, but he retains it. He flips on to first, and Atlanta wins the game by a final score of 7-6. Red Sox made a run in the ninth inning, but when trailing by 3 runs or more, they are now 0-21. 7-6 the final.
Well, it wasn't the best Ranger Suarez we saw in this game, and again, it's kind of flipping here a little bit in the last weekend. You're putting up some runs. 6 runs usually wins a lot of ball games. But Ranger wasn't in his top form, and the bullpen gave up a few more. And again, you come back after a sweep, and you lose your first 4 games in this ballpark. I say it so many times, you got to figure out a way to win here.
Red Sox now 22-31. They are 9 under 500 for the first time since 22.
Yeah, a lot of ghastly numbers there. Red Sox, thankfully don't rally in the ninth. It was a little starting to sweat a little there. They lose to the Braves to start that series last night at Fenway Park, 7-6. I want them to lose every game because if you want real change here, or at least Craig Breslow to get fired, which I do, because maybe you'll see some upheaval with this organization. They got to keep losing. So yeah, I'm glad that they did. And I get it. Like, there's not much else going on right now. Maybe you're paying to go to the park. Although my understanding was from my buddy that did go last night, that place was like at least 40% Braves fans.
That happened last year. I went to a day game, and I was like, why are tickets kind of hard to get? And I went in, and it was probably 85% Braves fans.
Yeah, which it speaks to what I've said for years, Michael, and that the park is part of the problem because they're going to bang it out every single night, especially when they have good teams, good opposing teams from other cities. They're going to get all those people traveling in here. But my point was, I had a buddy text me because the Sox were up 2-0 early, like, heard you today, Dick. Like, they're already up. I'm like, give it like 2 innings. Believe me, the Braves are coming back, you a-hole. And good. I'm glad they lost last night.
So you know what? When I was walking out of here last night, because again, you left an hour before I did, Murray. When I was walking out, I saw Joe Murray and his interns come and go, oh, they just hit back-to-back home runs. Ooh. They're up 2-0. First inning. Yeah, what do you think now? I said, they'll blow it.
Yeah, wait an hour.
And they did. 7-6. What was that stat O'Brien had again, Jimmy?
Red Sox now 22-31. They are 9 under 500 for the first time since 22.
That one I like too. The one at the beginning where he said they're like 0-21 with what when
they trail by 3 at any point.
Yeah, winless.
Tony, that's one swing of the bat. That is one swing.
Especially when they're trailing by 3 runs or more. They are now 0-21.
You stink. Your offense absolutely sucks if you're winless when you fall behind by at least 3 runs. 0-21. So, yeah, 9 games.
0-21.
9 games under 500, like he said, for the first time since 2022. They hit 3 home runs at Fenway for the first time all year and still lost. And 8-18 at Fenway Park this season. They stink. And so I get it. You don't like my buddy who went last night. You don't have much going on right now. You paid to go to the park. I know you probably want to see them win. But for the bigger picture, you don't. You want them to lose. If you want upheaval and hopefully some change here, keep showing up with the bags on your heads and to sell the Team John Henry T-shirts and being pissed like I am.
Just lose, man. They keep losing it. And boy, did they find ways to lose every single. It was the same thing last night that it was over the weekend with the Twins.
Right.
It was the same thing. You change the opponent. They got an early lead. They let it get. They've led in 3 of the last 4 games. They've lost them all. They've lost them all by 1 or 2 runs. There's always some big at bat late in the game that they gag and they can't score. They lose. It is stunning.
I checked it this morning, I think. So we're inching closer to the other thing that I want because I don't want to hear talk of the illusion of contention, the 3rd wild card spot. Well, they're only 2.5 out. I think they're 4 out now of that 3rd spot. And even like suck teams like Toronto are ahead of them now. So get to around 7, and then we can truly put the nail in the coffin. We're getting closer to that, thankfully.
You're 2 games out of last place in the American League.
Yeah.
That's the bigger number to me.
That's more real than them being, it's 4 back of that 3rd wild card spot. Right.
They're going to be hard-pressed to get that number 1 pick, though. It's unfortunate.
Houston's ahead of them now. The Astros are terrible.
Houston is ahead of them. That's correct.
You got to watch out for the Rockies. You always got to watch out for. They're going to lose a lot of games. But the thing that keeps it started Friday, where it's like big spot in the 8th inning, pinch hitter Mickey Gasper, and you're just kind of like, this is where they're at. Like last night in the 9th inning, you had Gasper, Sogard, Monasterio, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Like that is half your lineup. How many comeback and credit to some of the 3 of those guys got on. You're like, what the hell is happening? But you can't rely on that. And you hear Tracy after the game, before the game, but after other games, like, I just really love how we're close. You know, we're putting in that fight. We need that one hit. And it's like, it ain't coming. Like, you're lucky to get any of those hits. That's the Boston Red Sox lineup. That's what they're rolling out. That's what they put on paper to send out there. You're paying money to go to that game. I don't know what to tell you.
I would say that is the most consistent thing on the team since the start of the year, is their inability to hit with guys in scoring position. When the money's on the table and you need someone to get a hit, including Mickey Gasper. They had the bases loaded last night with nobody out in the middle of the game. Gasper hitting a double play. I'd rather have Chris Gasper up there swinging the bat in that situation. He'd strike out and only get one out.
At least he'd look
instead
good.
of two. Seriously.
He might get hit.
It is, exactly. I'll take the chances on that. There's going to be someone on the mound that doesn't like Chris Gasper and drills him. You get a chance to get an RBI out of it. It's amazing to me. And Jen McCaffrey had a story in the Athletic today, Murray. I don't know if you saw this. This is the 1 month anniversary of the Cora firing. So they went 10-17, 27 games under Cora. They are 12-14 in the month since. So they haven't really improved. It's a couple of games. That's it. And their offensive production. Breslow was talking about the improvement in the offense, and we're having better at bats. In fact, Jimmy, we had that cut from last night, right? We played this last night on the Baseball Hour. This was Breslow on the Nesson pregame show.
I think you have to separate, kind of where are we in terms of the standings versus where are we in terms of where we think we should be based on the talent of the team. And we have confidence in the players. We have confidence in the staff. We know that we haven't played as well as we had anticipated, but we fully expect to be in this thing and to turn this around. I think you can see some signs of it over the last month where the pitching has been consistently very, very good. We're playing really good defense, and it isn't showing up in wins just yet. But we're starting to have better at bats. We're starting to get on base a little bit more, have more traffic. Even in this last series where we got swept, we had chances. We had multiple chances, and a couple of different swings, and we win at least two of those games.
Does that make you feel better?
No, what a delusional robot.
By the way, that on-base stat is they went from 306 on base to 310 on base. Massive shift.
What a big difference.
Here come the Red Sox. They're going to expect to win more games.
That's entirely thanks to that Twins bullpen that just kept walking everyone. Like, just gift, free bases. There you go. There's your 8 percentage points.
And what good does it do if you can't hit them in? If you can't hit them in, it doesn't do you any good.
Yeah, well, we're getting more traffic.
And
on
also,
the base
that's manipulated too. Red Sox stats on Twitter said that the Red Sox offense ranks 30th with runners on base, 30th with runners in scoring position, and 23rd in high leverage situations, whatever all those things mean. So they still suck. So your expected is still wrong. Do we live in the actual world, not the stupid friggin' expected world?
Not in sports anymore, Jimmy, unfortunately.
Jim, I expect you to make $1 million. Do you think that's going to happen?
I wish. No, unfortunately.
Trust the process.
So I guess I'm wrong. I'm an a-hole, right?
Unfortunately, yes. In this case, Jimmy, it's crazy to hear these guys talk, we're getting more traffic on the base pass. Yeah, and then a big stop sign comes up when it's Isaiah Falefa up at plate when they needs to drive in a couple of runs. They're so stupid. It's about the roster construction. It's about him, and if you want change, they have to keep losing.
Who's going? My concern is
nobody also wants this job. By the way, he was the 13th guy.
Right.
There is that.
Yeah. Sorry, Hurley. Go.
I don't know. I'm just concerned with. Let's say you get him out of there. There's no baseball mind in that organization running the process. Who's gonna lead? Is it gonna be Sam Kennedy again? Then you're gonna get another. It's just that Sam Kennedy had that toxic positivity thing earlier this year. Listen to Breslow. They're like, when is anything bad? When is anything bad to create? It's like, but things are looking up. No, they aren't. And I just think you need a baseball guy to come in. I don't want to put too much on Theo Epstein, but do something for the baseball team. Like, you're there. I don't know what you do every day. You probably have a couple hours a day. If 2 hours of Theo working on the Red Sox is better than 12 hours of Breslow working on the Red Sox, some baseball mind needs to get in there and reshape the organization.
Those days are over. I think they're going to continue to run it this way. And you know what's amazing to me is when you have they look at you like
we're the a-holes?
Yeah. They wonder how you have the audacity to criticize them.
That's the way Kenny Atkinson looked at that gaggle of reporters. Like, you guys don't understand because you're stupid idiots. Like, I'm looking in your eyes and you're looking at me funny. It's because you're dumb. Not because
I don't
what
know.
I'm saying is
Kenny,
ridiculous.
you're down 0-3 in a series and you think you should be up 2-1. But I'm the idiot for looking at the scoreboard and saying down 0-3. Puh.
It's funny you mentioned that.
And you're getting paid millions of dollars to feel that way?
That toxic positivity thing you mentioned, too. So I left it on after they thankfully lost last night. So I came back into the room, and this Chad Tracy, and I know he's just the interim guy. He's not going to be the manager. But I thought to myself, like, why is he smiling right now? Stop smiling. You suck. This team just lost again. And he's sitting up there, all teeth. Like, what do you, again, if we were to question that, we're the a-holes.
Right. No,
Like,
it's the process.
Ugh.
Trust the process,
Wretched
Murray.
product. But if you want to weigh in on the Red Sox, have at it at 617-779.
So expected wins greater than actual wins. That's the moral of this segment?
Yeah, expected wins and what they expect, even though it's not happening, better than what you're watching on a night-to-night basis with the suck Red Sox.
When I got into this business, I expected to be happy.
Same, actually.
617-779-0985. Your calls on the Sox, Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, all coming up next after the headlines with Mike Hurley here on Felger and Maz.
Sean and Lawrence. Go, Sean.
You keep saying, like, oh, I didn't actually watch the game, whether it's Patriots, Celtics, Bruins, whatever. Like, isn't your job as a talk show host to actually watch sports?
So I would say my job is to get you to listen.
That is the job.
Mission accomplished.
Take this job and shove. Felger and Maz, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Let's go to Barry in Florida with a thought on the Red Sox and interim manager Chad Tracy. Hello, Barry.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good. What's up?
Hey, first of all, I wanted to just thank you and Maz for telling it the way that it is. You're the only radio station in Boston, especially when it comes to the Red Sox, that tell it the way it is and are straight up about it. Maz, going off of your point, when Cora was there and he left, why is run production down 20%? Kind of scratched my head wondering they fired him and the run production goes down. And then the pitching seemed to go down as well. And I'm just curious, how is it that Andrew Bailey and the rest of that staff didn't get fired, and Google Boy, Mr. Breslow, can still be employed? Does it become one of these things that Fenway Park is just full of fans day in and day out, and John Henry looks at the numbers, and that's what it really comes down to? And why make a change if people are still going to flock to Fenway Park? It's just a lot to understand, and wonder if there ever is going to be a change in the philosophy of this when you've got someone like Breslow that relies on Google for everything.
Thanks, Barry.
I think you got it right, Barry. I mean, I don't think it's going to change. The problem is that we look at it competitively as baseball. They look at it competitively as business. And I don't know if the gap's – look, that gap has always existed, but I don't know that it's ever been wider than it is right now. And to me, that's the problem, is they truly don't care about the product on the field. They really don't. They really don't. I mean, they want it to be better than it is.
But it doesn't bother them that it's not.
Correct. They don't want it to be great anymore. They just want it to be pretty good. And because of that, they're straddling this line of how to do it. The product has suffered. They've sucked for 7 or 8 years now. And I say sucked, given what their resources are. You know, since they last won their World Series, they've made the playoff twice, and they won one playoff round, right?
21,
they beat Tampa Bay that year in the division round.
Thanks to that ground rule double.
I mean, yeah, ridiculous. So they haven't been close to the same team now for going on a decade.
And they fell into that ass backwards too, because Devers hit that home run in Washington on the last day of the season.
Correct.
Well, I think last year, making the playoffs was a detriment because they leaned on that. Like, we were a playoff team last year. It's like, you weren't really. They would have been the third wild card if not for Detroit absolutely collapsing last September. You remember? So they were the second wild card, but really you were the third wild card. And you get a wild card series? You have Yoshida batting cleanup in a playoff game like this. You weren't really a playoff team, but they can lean on that and be like, look, we were a playoff team. And you do that every few years, they'll be okay with it.
But even still, I would thought, and I suckered myself into thinking, they'll build off that. And they didn't. Noah in Kansas City on the Sox. Go ahead, Noah.
Yeah, I hate this team so much. Last night, they started off with those 2 homers back-to-back. And I knew after that Rafaela homer, I knew they were not going to score any more runs, at least that inning. It would be a good way to get a rally going. But what did they do? I'm pretty sure that they got the next 3 outs on only like 10 or 11 pitches. So that pissed me off. But my main point, Maz, did you hear the Jim Rice interview during the game last night? I thought it was so interesting because who was up at bat? Marcelo Meyer. Who did Jim Rice have that issue with in spring training with trying to teach the player, how to swing? And it was so funny. Dave asked him, what's the issue with the offense? And I'm pretty sure Jim went back to the aspect of everyone's trying to hit the ball up in the air. And then what did Marcelo do? He hit a fly ball up in the air. I thought it was comical. It's just perfectly wrapped up, exactly what this whole season is about is real baseball people. Jim Rice can see what's going on in the field, and it's not right. And talking head, type of team-friendly people like the broadcast. And when Tom Caron came up with it ending later, talking about his interview with Breslow and stuff, trying to make it seem like, oh, we're kind of, we're in the fight a little bit. We got this. Like, no, realists can see this is a crap team and a crap season.
And Jim Rice's thoughts are looked at as antiquated, and they don't want him around. And it was Christian Campbell that we all kind of surmised that he was trying to coach up there.
Right. I've heard since that it wasn't Christian Campbell.
So
but
maybe it was Meyer, but either way.
Yeah, but whoever it was, whoever it was in the cage for that instance is really just a representative of what the philosophy is. So the idea of the player really doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. The fact is that they don't know, they don't know their ass from their elbow now. They're stuck in the middle. They want to spend money on guys who aren't huge investments, but they don't want to spend as much as they used to. And they're, on the one hand, they want analytics to dictate what they're going to do, but they've built a team that should be bunting and moving runners over. And the analytics frown on that. So what's happening? They're losing. And, again, Murray, I talked to us about this yesterday. Milwaukee and Tampa Bay bunt as much as any team in baseball. I think they're first and third in the major leagues in bunts. They don't hit home runs. They're in the bottom 3 with the Red Sox of home runs, but they score more runs than Boston does because they've embraced their identity.
Those teams also know how to play baseball. What these geeks are teaching here is drive line.
Correct.
And angles. And on that, Dean in Shrewsbury with a thought. Hello, Dean.
Hi. I don't think that the results recently are an indication of how effective driveline is. When you're reworking a swing, it's sort of like 1 step backwards, 2 steps forwards. I'm not saying driveline's going to be good. I just think we don't have the track record yet. If they don't figure it out by the end of the season, though, I'm firing Craig Breslow.
I think the driveline thing is a big part of the problem here.
It is a part of the problem. Again, they're totally married to the numbers. It's exactly what it is. Whatever the numbers say is the best way to score, that's what they're going to do. Instead of looking at the players. See, I'm an idiot, Murray, because apparently I think you need variety on your roster. You need guys who make contact and can generate runs when you're not hitting home runs. You need home run hitters to be able to come back from 3-0 deficits or 3-run deficits, which is what Dave O'Brien so nicely pointed out on the game. And they can't do any of it with any consistency because they don't have enough good players. Like, to me, it's a very simple concept. You want to win, get good players, and make sure money. Yeah, and make sure you have a variety of skill sets. They don't have that. Plain and simple. And so they suck. No surprise there.
Paul in New Hampshire with a thought on Mike Vrabel, who spoke today at OTAs. Hey, Paul.
Hey, guys. Great show. You guys are talking about the burner phone situation, but they don't need a burner phone. I hate to be the one with this kind of information, but I guarantee they're talking to each other through the app WhatsApp. It's completely encrypted. They can call, they can video text, and they can actual text, and there is zero trace of any of that. Those two are definitely communicating because they're obviously trying to protect each other's backsides, their careers, and probably their children. But they're definitely communicating. There is no way after that amount of time that they just dropped each other like a hot potato.
Yeah, so you don't need the bad boy phone. You just need WhatsApp.
A little marketing thing there for WhatsApp.
No, that one saves your data too.
I think they all do.
They all do.
And are you going to risk having a message pop on your phone and you haven't had the chance to delete it yet? And
you leave it on the nightstand. It goes off at 2 a.m. when you're sleeping next to your wife.
No shot, no chance.
Yeah.
But Murray, you said, and I think we all agree, like it's kind of fizzling, barring the next thing. Like if something else bad happens, what could that even be? Like, I don't even know what that, like, I don't know. We've seen the boat. We've seen, is like, if stuff happened in an NFL facility, is that going to, like, I don't understand. I don't know what could possibly revive this thing.
The most extreme thing is if she came out and said, this one child that I named Michael was actually from him, and he had lied to the team. Because I'm sure that, it's well within their right for the Crafts to go to Vrabel and say, look, this is done, right? Like, nothing else is done. There's no other shoe to drop. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry I caused all this trouble. We're done here. And then something like that comes out, then, well, it all restarts and he's in hot water again. As long as there's no more lies to the team and nothing crazy to drop, I think it's pretty much over.
I mean, what if we find out that the relationship was going on for 12 years? Does that change it at all?
It's more than 6.
What if she has text
proof.
messages or emails of him giving up confidential information from one of the teams?
Right.
Because I was thinking that, like,
or play up an injury about player X so that we can get him when I was with Tennessee or maybe here.
Because I don't think nationally there's been as much discussion as there has been locally, obviously. Like, I don't think SportsCenter's breaking down the Vrabel-Rossini situation.
Oh, they don't want to touch this thing.
If something like that happened, I could see it sort of coming back. Then the league probably gets involved. Then you probably have investigations, et cetera, into tampering, whatever it may, or not tampering, but whatever it may be. I could see that happening.
We're going to touch on the Vegas Golden Knights punching their ticket to the Stanley Cup Final for the third time in their 9 years of existence. We'll get to that. Maz has a thought on that, along with more of your phone calls on our long commercial-free segment coming up next here on Felger and Maz.
Felger, Maz, the Sports Hub.
Landeskog stopped by Stone. Eichel sends it in. 3 seconds to go. Vegas goes back to the Stanley Cup Finals. They sweep the President's Trophy winning Avalanche in the Western Conference Final. Joy and devastation all in 2 pictures.
I don't think I don't know if you can argue this. It's the greatest story of an expansion team in the history of North American pro sports.
I would agree.
I mean, that's crazy.
I can't think of anything like it, Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went year 1. They lost to the Capitals. Then they won with Cassidy a few years ago, and this is their third.
Maybe the Marlins?
So I was just going to say that. Very good.
97 and 03.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years into it 97 was. Like,
I think
4 years?
4 years, because they started in 92 or 93.
I think it was their 5th year. I think that was their 5th season. Because I was there the night they won, and I remember writing that they were like the boy kings of baseball or something like that.
Good line.
No, thank you. Appreciate that, Murray. And they were like 5 years in. And so, but the Marlins are about but they had some suck years in there too. And so I think this was better. And not only that, Vegas was good right out of the gate, year 1.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they go that first year, and I think they lost in 5 to Washington. But so here's a couple of questions for you, but regarding this, because they smothered that Colorado team. They're two-way forwards because they obviously have some offensive scoring prowess, and guys like Stone. That first goal that they got last night was ridiculous. Just kind of it was like they were referring to it almost like a long pass from a quarterback to a wide receiver. That's what it looked like. He just caught the puck, threw it down, scored. But defensively too, they smothered that Avalanche team. So now I'm also, I said I was pulling for the Canadiens. I'm also pulling for the Canadiens because I do think we'll lose to Vegas because they're a better defensive team with their forwards, like I said. But if we because Carolina does the same thing that they do, they smother you with their forward play. If that's the final, get ready for a kind of unwatchable grind. I think in a lot of ways, like 1-0, 2-1 games. If the final's going to be Vegas and Carolina, which I think it's going to be.
I mean, the two coaches tell you that as much as anything.
Yeah.
Brindamore wants to take the life out of it, and so does Tortorella. So I do like the Vegas talent, though. I mean, they got some. There's a lot of talent on that team. They're a fun team to watch. They get some grit to them. Marner's level of play has gone way up.
Stone's a ballsy player.
Tremendous. Yeah, he'd have been a good Bruin.
Barbashev's a good player. Like they have, up and down. They have a really good roster. So let me ask you this: so they finished 39, 26, and 17. They beat an Avalanche team that finished the regular season with 121 points. Now, granted, teams I'm going to mention here are in the East, but teams with more wins that missed the playoffs: Capitals with 43, Islanders with 43, Devils with 42, Red Wings 41 wins, Panthers 40 wins, Blue Jackets 40 wins. Do you like this, or is this a problem with the NHL that a team with 39 wins can eke in, and here they are in the Stanley Cup Final?
I have no problem with it whatsoever. None. Zero. None. And in fact, I would tell you that for the majority of the year, Vegas underachieved. And this is why Cassidy got fired. And I know we touched on this yesterday. But for all the people that got their panties in a bunch when they fired Bruce Cassidy, this is who Cassidy is. He wears out his welcome quickly, just like Tortorella, by the way. He doesn't last very long. He kicks and screams and yells and gets the most out of teams and gets you to block shots and commit. But you get tired of listening to him, and that's it. And Cassidy does a lot of that, too, in terms of, the yelling and the noise, and you just eventually tune him out. Vegas made the right move, clearly. I think they're 19-5 now since the coaching change, and they just wiped out the best team in hockey. I was stunned by this. I didn't expect this thing to end in 4 games.
I thought this series was going to be a war.
I thought it would be a good series.
Yeah.
They completely wiped them out.
Hurley, any problem with it?
No, you got me down a rabbit hole I wanted to check the numbers. Are you familiar with the number of shots on goal Montreal has per game this series?
Oh, it's like 8 or something like that.
The first game they got 22. Game 2 they had 12 shots. That was an overtime game. And then, they followed up. They got 13 the other night. So you're talking about a Stanley Cup final with a Hurricanes team that literally allows 16 shots on goal per game in the conference finals. That's nuts.
Yeah. So do you have any issue, though, with a team with 39 wins getting in, beating a 121-point team?
No, I mean, that's hockey. The President's Trophy is the most meaningless accomplishment in sports. Like, it is almost a death sentence. It's very rare you actually fulfill what people make of you. And we saw it here firsthand, 5 years ago? I can't do math. When the Bruins had that great regular season, they go on that run, and they don't get out of the first round. Like, the regular season in basketball, to an extent, like Joe Mazzulla winning the Coach of the Year, the regular season in the winter sports feels as meaningless as it's ever felt. Like there's not really much of an advantage to being the top seed. Like home ice advantage doesn't really exist. It's the least advantageous of any of the 4 sports. So, as good as Colorado looked going into this series, it's sort of like, that's what happens.
So that was my second question. Do you believe in the curse, for lack of a better term, of the President's Trophy? Because I really do. The last team to win it and then win the Cup was the Blackhawks in 2013 against the Bruins. But you get this thing, like the Bruins, a handful of years ago with that major upset to that Panthers team. This year with the Avalanche. You don't want that thing. That thing is truly a curse. You do not want the President's Trophy in the NHL, Maz.
No, definitely not. And who won it last year? Winnipeg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got spanked. That was the end of that.
Was that first round? They might have made it to the second round, right?
I can't remember.
I think that's right.
I think Hellebuck was awful, but they got through the first round.
Yeah. But that first round went 7 games.
Yeah. He got pulled a few times,
right.
I think.
That's
he fell apart.
Colorado outscored its opponents this year by 100 goals, 99 goals. I mean, they were easily the most dominant team in hockey. So, I'm not surprised the least bit by the loss. But to get wiped out like that, 4 straight, after having the postseason that they had up to now, oh, you freaking tools, you losers.
Leading 3-0 in game 3, too. No, and they blow that. No, because I saw a lot of people, the reason I asked that first question, I saw a lot of people, of course, because people have to bitch online, that a team with 39 wins shouldn't make the Cup final. Like, that's wrong. Like, I have no problem with it. One of the great things I think about the NHL in the playoffs is, and baseball's kind of been this way in some ways for the last 10 or 15 years. If you're hot at the right time, that's all that matters. There's the 2006 Cardinals. That team sucked. They won the World Series. A couple of those Giants teams, or at least one of those years, they kind of squeaked in. They got hot at the right time. It's the Kings in 2012 are still the only 8 seed in North American sports history to ever win a championship. They squeaked in at the last day or so and then knocked off the 1, 2, and 3 seeds and won the Cup. Jonathan Quick played out of his mind. If you get hot at the right time, that should be enjoyable. That's what makes sports fun. It makes it completely unpredictable. I don't know why the hell people are bitching about that.
No, I like it that way, too. I'll take that every single time. People shouldn't be bitching about it.
You know what's crazy?
And again, Vegas is kind of I don't want to say unique case.
Well, they underachieved. That's a really good roster. I think that they tuned out the coach. They fired the coach. Right, yeah.
So they got a wake-up call.
Yeah, we're not talking about a complete upstart. I get your point. Yeah.
That Cardinals team, I think they won 83 games that year. If I went back,
it sounds right. It was yeah.
You're right, Maz.
They won 83 games and if you remember, the Tigers blew that World Series because their pitchers couldn't feel the ground ball and they were chucking the thing all around like it was a live grenade, for crying out loud. So, but this is part of the deal. You gag at the worst time, you lose. This is what the playoffs to me are all about, Murray. This is the whole reason to have them. If you're just going to crown the team that won the regular season,
why watch?
Right, exactly right.
You know what's crazy is you mentioned the Blackhawks being the last winner. A team hasn't, outside of that, even made it to the Stanley Cup Final since the 11 Canucks. So
that have won the
President's Trophy.
Oh wow!
Only two of those in that time have lost in the first round, with the Bruins being one of them.
Yeah, of course. Well, if you want to weigh in on this too, the Vegas Golden Knights, who await the winner of the Eastern Conference Final between the Hurricanes and Montreal Canadiens, who play again tonight. Join us at 617-779-0985. We'll touch on the NBA in the Western Conference Final right after the headlines with Michael Hurley here, along with more of your phone calls coming up here on Felger and Mass.